Meet my dad, Michael Yanicelli. He's a real estate developer for his own personal business, Cash Street Devco. And his job is to buy land, zone areas, design, and build buildings. One thing you would not know from this little prefix is that he can tell you anything, and I mean anything, about rocks. You see, for 5 whole years, he worked as a geologist. He worked for huge oil companies, finding massive oil deposits using his extensive knowledge of geology. Now this is Steve Jobs. He's the Atari video game developer that founded Apple, one of the richest companies in the world. When I ask you to compare these two people, the first thing that might come to mind is, I don't know, my dad's bushy beard, or maybe even Steve Jobs' receding hairline. But what if I tell you it went much deeper than that? What if I told you it was the fact that both of these people switched their careers incredibly late, or that neither of them had any idea what they wanted to be while still in high school? Today, we will be taking a deep dive into why 30% of high school graduates have no idea what they want to do with the rest of their lives. We'll be uncovering different methods and ways that high schoolers can use to find their dream career. Now listen, everyone in this room has at least a faint elementary experience. I don't know, the first day of school. Everyone in this room remembers the unique smell of a 3rd grade classroom. The relentless chatter in the background of the giant 6'4" tall teacher standing down and asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And while other people had more exciting answers, like maybe a firefighter, astronaut, or maybe even a superhero, mine was more boring or mundane. You see, I personally wanted to be an architect. Every single day of my childhood, I spent hours upon hours building Legos. I was obsessed. I love designing, creating, and even destroying them, and it's where my love for architecture truly blossomed. But as we grow older, times change, and so do people. So when faced with the question, what do I want to do when I grow up? Now, I realize that I have multiple different paths that I can go down, and my horizons have broadened. Choosing your career is an incredibly important part of anyone's life, but it's often a hard decision. By using methods such as understanding yourself, doing lots of research into multiple jobscapes, and implementing the process of ikigai, it can be made much easier. Let's start us off with understanding ourselves. I mean, it's incredibly important when picking your career. I mean, you're literally marrying this job for the next 50 years, and divorce isn't really an option. You might be thinking to yourself, I know myself, I'm me. I challenge that. Right now, I want you to think of 3 things that you're exceptionally good at. Not just all right at or okay at, but amazing at. Write them down or make a mental note. Later, I want you to ask your best friend, what are 3 things I'm really good at? The answers will 100% surprise you. You will find tons of things out, depending on who you ask, of things that you didn't know that you were amazing at, that you are great at. Do this to deepen your understanding of how other people see you, therefore increasing your understanding of yourself. Let's go back to that age-old question. What do you want to be when you grow up? When you ask it to someone who's young, naturally they're going to have an ever-changing answer. I mean, I'd place a solid amount of money on my ability to convince a 7-year-old to change their dream profession. But as we get older, our vision seems to narrow, and we seem to focus on one job, one thing that we really want to do. And in my opinion, that's why 32% of college-educated individuals change their job after only 3 years in the workforce. You might be thinking, how can I experiment? How can I try out a bunch of different jobs so that I can keep my eyes wide? I mean, I can't just apply for 100 different jobs and work them all at the same time. That's impossible. And while you might be right, I do challenge your ability to experiment. I mean, to start off, there are hundreds upon hundreds of free online courses that you can take from high-caliber schools such as Stanford or Harvard, all taught by incredibly educated professors that know way more about the jobscape than you do. Secondly, listen, with just a quick Google search, you can find thousands of audiobooks written by hundreds of different people with different ideologies, views, personalities, on practically any subject or job. Finally, everyone in this room has the ability to ask questions. You have the ability to ask questions, you have the ability to ask questions, even I have the ability to ask questions. So do it. Interview your friends, family members, people you look up to, the people that have the jobs that you really want, and find out their personal experiences with that certain jobscape. Also, do all this so that your final decision can be an educated one. Some of you might be thinking to yourself, the process of ikigai, what's that? Is it some sort of ice cream or sushi? The answer is no. Ikigai is an ancient Chinese way of thinking that can be used to find your dream profession. You see, it can be represented by this graph here. There are 4 different parts. There's doing what you love, doing what you're good at, doing what affects your community, and most importantly, doing what makes you money. Finding that centerpiece that has all 4 of those sections, that's called ikigai. And it's incredibly important when balancing your life and your job. While it may be true that finding your dream profession late, after you've already studied or worked for years on something else, isn't the end of the world. It is 100% a major setback. And that's why finding your profession early is so important. I mean, Steve Jobs said it himself. The only way to do good work is to love the work that you do. High school students have a long and winding road ahead of them if they plan on being successful. So if you're closing in on graduation and you want to find your dream profession, then by studying ikigai, doing as much research as you can, do as many jobs as you can, and truly understanding yourself, you will get closer to finding your goals. Think of yourself 50 years in the future. You wake up every single day dreading the job that you go to. The hate, the stress, and the pain and the workload of a job that you don't even want to go to is weighing you down and bringing your life. Now think of a very similar situation, but you love your job. 50 years in the future, you wake up every day, birds chirping, sun shining. You can't wait to go to work. You can't wait to improve on and get better at what you do because you truly love doing what you do. So if you're one of the 3 in 10 high schoolers that has no idea what they want to do when they grow up, then follow these steps, find your own path, and pick your perfect career. Thank you.